One of the aspects that's unique about the Gospel of Mark, from which I just read this passage, is that most Scripture scholars feel that this is where the Gospel of Mark ended. One more verse, actually. You remember that the messenger says, "Go and tell his disciples and Peter, he's going before you to Galilee. There you will see him as he told you." The last verse is, "And the women were terrified and fled and told no one anything." The end. You can imagine that's not where the Gospel of Mark ends today, but because clearly it's so different from the accounts in Matthew, Luke, and John, the other three Gospels. Where they have many appearances. You remember, we'll be hearing them during the Easter season, on the road to Emmaus, in the locked room, appearing to Thomas, who doubted, appearing on the Sea of Galilee when they were fishing, etc. But I like it is kind of provocative imagining that that's how the way it ended. Huh? I mean, the original writer. And the reason they believe that is that they found texts that end exactly there. And they found texts that end in other ways, too. So when you read your Gospels, you'll see it. Be that as it may, it does provoke a question, I think. Because here they have a messenger saying he has been raised, and go tell the message, go to Galilee, and you will see him there, as he told you. Well, of course, Galilee is where they came from. None of the disciples that we know of, other than Mary and Martha and Lazarus, were Jerusalem people. They were Galilee people. So in effect, what the way the gospel ends is, look, go back to where you came from, and there in the fabric of your life, you're going to experience the risen Christ. And that's the message, I think, for us today. We all gather, and joyfully so, to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. But if it was only about the resurrection of Jesus, that would be a nice memory. The whole point is that it has an implication for you and me, an implication that's life-changing, that isn't just on Sunday morning, either here or in the gym, but is tomorrow, when you're back at work or back at school. And as hard as it is to believe with that same supervisor or that same clique at school, there is the presence of Christ. In other words, this promise is for me and you something that is a daily reality. Are we going to see? That's why it's kind of elegant the way Mark ends, because he doesn't tell any resurrection appearances. He just says, the tomb's empty, and go say. You'll see him in Galilee. And that's the way you and I see him, isn't it? We don't have resurrection appearances of Jesus. We experience him within the fabric of our daily lives, whether it be our family or among our friends or in our work, or not. Or not. The challenge for us then is to allow the power of God's grace to work in us in such a way that we do begin to see our daily life in Galilee, our daily life in Arlington, our daily life in D.C. as a reflection also of the invitation of God's love and presence. How does it happen? Well, I think it happens with an openness to the power of God's love in your life. You have to, God never forces himself on any of us. He offers an invitation. Now, you might say, you know what, I just came here for Easter Mass. I didn't come for all this invitation. That's fine, but I want to give you one anyway. Okay? And that invitation is this, that there is a meaning to your life, and that Christ is involved in that meaning, and you can discover that meaning, and you can live in the fabric, in Galilee, in Arlington, and in D.C. in a new way. Next Sunday, Sunday evening, next Sunday evening, begins a program called Discovering Christ. And it starts with the same question, what's the meaning of my life? You know, and does God have anything to do with it? And if so, how does that work? And it's going to start on Sunday evening with a free dinner, then a presentation and a group discussion for 7 weeks. I'm going to ask Fred Pagarelli to come up and just play a short video. Now, the people you'll see on this are people who went through this program, Discovering Christ. Begins next Sunday evening at 7 p.m. You can come to the 6 o'clock Mass or just come at 7. Begins with dinner. Dinner is free. We ask that you pre-register, and you can do that on our website, StCharlesChurch.org, StCharlesChurch.org. If you guys who didn't see the video over there or up there, or couldn't hear it, you can see that. You can make a link to see the video again to consider whether that's something that you want to do. There is a meaning, and it's a daily meaning, and it does change your life. That's the point of the resurrection. Now, obviously, Jesus' life was changed when he was raised from the dead. But unless it has an impact on our life, it's just a nice thought. So, I invite you. You do need to pre-register, and as I say, you can do that on the website. Let us stand and proclaim our faith.